I'm going to do my best as if this was my business.
The representation of this is the C-suite members have an option to give to their new members.
I am Michaela Michelski here with the Pulse podcast, and I am with Mark H. Pullman today.
So we're going to ask a few different questions to just kind of get people familiarized with kind of what Pulse is. And, as the podcast grows, it's going to be cool to be able to bring even more young professionals on just to talk about what they do and their thought leadership and motivate others to keep going. So what have you noticed the ripple effect for some of the things that happen with Pulse? And what does that mean?
Yeah, great question. So I am a firm believer that everything happens from the top and always trickles down. And so if you have a good solid group or a good solid kind of action plan and someone who's leading that, it is able to transpire. And the person who started Pulse before me did a fantastic job of putting down those foundations and really getting the young professionals of the Fox Cities connected and engaged and part of different things within Pulse and outside of Pulse in the community. And so kind of just being able to see people either new get involved or people who have been involved kind of step up into roles and really seeing how that has trickled into other people joining or other people getting involved or other people really just supporting or being supported has been something that's really cool that I have seen since being a part of Pulse. I would also say that kind of we have a really awesome establishment of some different core groups within Pulse. So we have our professional development group, we have our social group, and then our volunteer and membership type role. And so during the time that I've been here at Pulse, we have really just seen a lot of more people get involved, giving back, getting connected, showing up to those events, and participating as a whole. So.
That's awesome.
Yeah, the ripple effect is really incredible to see and experience. I'm new to Pulse. I've had an excellent opportunity to speak with the Pulse members. What I think the best representation of this is the C-suite members have an option to give to their new members to grow them. And this excellent program, Pulse Young Professionals, gives us incredible opportunities to learn and grow from members within the community. And the strength that is built within that and the familiarity and the connections that are built from that just usher us all forward within our careers.
And to kind of piggyback off of that, I mean, looking outside of Pulse, the ripple effect, I feel like only equates to the business community and the community as a whole. And so just having those people get more, connected or more involved or, being a part of that mentorship program or establishing those relationships. I think that, even having Mark here, I kind of reached out to him and was like, Mark, I think you would be a really great fit for the chamber, but I also think you'd be a really great fit for Pulse and coming to speak for Pulse. And then from that, Mark was like, okay, I am going to help out and volunteer at Oktoberfest. And he did. And so many people have been like, oh my gosh, Mark this. And people have been very excited about Mark. And so, there's always that ripple effect that happens for someone who's new, as well as in the business community, like having people get involved. And the amount of people that came to Mark's talk that he did, he really spent a good amount of time talking about that you can be a leader from wherever you are. And the feedback that we got was just, this is awesome. This is tangible things that I can take and I can bring back to my company. I can bring back to my position. And it's something that I can continue to expand upon as well as my business. And so just the businesses then in turn benefit from the growth and the opportunities that these Pulse members have.
I'd like to expand on that a little bit. It's really cool to enter a room where we're all young professionals. We're cutting our teeth. We're getting into the game. To be a little bit vulnerable, but also say, hey, you're experiencing this too. This is really cool that I have someone I can talk to and connect with. Yeah. Because when you're in it every day, There's the I want to grow, and that is churning like crazy. But then there's the job responsibilities that you also have to meet. So where's the time to be a little bit like, is this for me? Am I doing this correctly? Is this the path for me? All of the above. Oh, guess what? I got a cool meet and greet or a meetup I can go to through the Pulse and say, yep. Okay. Thank you for the confidence. I'm going to go back to what I'm supposed to be doing with a bigger puff chest and a stronger back. Pulse is amazing.
Yeah. And I think like when you go back in after those experiences, people see that and they're like, wait, what changed? Like where is this coming from? And then they become curious and they want to know more and they're asking the questions. And then those questions again lead to then maybe either them being somewhere or they know someone that would, benefit. And so I think, it's just all about that curiosity and asking those questions.
I think it's really cool too. Like you always hear from, the older generations that, oh, this next generation is going to fail us, or this next generation is going to blah, blah, blah. Honestly, I think with having groups just like this, it's able to empower people to be, strong business leaders. Whether it's, a entrepreneur, somebody who's high up in a company but doesn't own the company, or it's an entrepreneur, somebody who's or somebody who started a business, or even a micropreneur, somebody who just wants to run their business and have it as a a $70,000 thing a year and be done with it. It empowers people to make a change and a difference, and I think being able to have that community out there that's supporting you, and empowering people to have that ownership mindset, and then to teach their employees about that ownership mindset of, the owner's not here right now, but I'm going to do my best as if this was my business to serve the customers, makes my boss look good, and then the boss turns around and, oh, wow, well, you're making me look good. I'm going to reward you, whether that's a paycheck or, some extra vacation time or a promotion or whatever. All in a roundabout way, being able to encourage young professionals to kind of take on this new thing of leadership, because the old way of leadership is, okay, I'm your boss. I'm going to tell you, this is how it's going to be. Where now you turn around and it's, hey, I'm your leader. How can I support you? How can I be that glue that holds everything together? And so I think it's really cool to be able to empower people nowadays to kind of use that instead of using that, that harsh tone or whatever like that, because not everybody, feels things the same way. Everybody's different. And so it's kind of cool to see those different vibes that people give off, and how can you relate to them, even if you're not exactly like them.
Right.
So
the Pulse really blends generations of leadership in a really great way, right? We take away the stuffiness or the responsibilities of everyday work because we're out of that environment. When you can help cross some of those paths, the leadership before us that maybe led differently but has incredible knowledge, us young professionals can really have a cool conversation where it's not necessarily a teaching moment, but more of a, hey, here's what I've gone through. Here's the good stuff of it. Now make it your own.
Right.
And we're going to see this incredible transition generation after generation with the chamber and Pulse, things like this all together. It's just going to make us more refined than ever before.
Yeah. And I think it's really cool you said that, because it's a really good message of history always repeats itself in some way. And so, instead of reinventing the wheel, take the parts that are really good and that have worked well, from previous, whether it's somebody who's retired, who is in a leadership position, or just people, life in general,
right?
Learning from those people, but then also being able to make your own spin on it, and then be able to track those things, whether it's tracking employee retention or tracking if your sales are going up. It's important to look at all those individual metrics, and not that it's all about numbers, but you're able to tell how your culture is usually by, your numbers and how things are improving. And I mean, a main telltale sign is in the HR world, looking at, what's your retention rate? And I mean, you can really tell how a business culture is just by that.
Sure.
And, there's a lot of people who think the number one reason that people leave is money. That's not it. It's their leadership. So how can leaders support them? And I think that'd be really cool to do some kind of masterclass or whatever like that about supporting your team, or even the people you work with or partner with.
I think I had a really unique opportunity when I first started at the chamber. They came to me and they said, hey, we really want to put you in this program that we run called Leader Lab. And I was like, oh, I know about leadership. Like, it's fine, like, whatever. And I got into it. And the girl at the chamber, Amy Herrick, who runs it, she does a phenomenal job of making you feel like really engaged and really connected. And I remember sitting in this room with 18 other business professionals who were on track to either being in leadership, were in leadership, or someone who kind of just oversaw themselves and their own capacity. And I remember thinking and hearing like all their different stories and kind of all how like their companies and cultures were run. And this program does a phenomenal job of exploring what is your mission? What is your, vision? What is the culture of your company? And how do we take what we're learning now and bring that back and apply that to the business? Because sometimes I think that we learn all these great things, right? But then we don't have either the freedom, the bravery, or whatever it is to be able to take that back and implement that in a culture that is already well established. And one of the topics that we talked about was generations in the workplace and really understanding the generations in the workplace. And I think we as business owners or, companies really do a disservice to not understand the generations, because everyone is like, well, this generation never wants to work. This generation only wants money and they have nothing to bring forward. And I could not disagree more. I think that this culture has a lot of values and a lot of things that they bring to the table that no one wants to give them credit for. But really what it is that we're just not taking the time to understand them and what they're actually looking for. And then I think there's something to be said about shifting and evolving and changing based on who you have. But it's not even just the new generation. It's learning every generation that you work with and really being able to understand how, as a company, can we make sure that all these different generations are working together for the betterment of the individual, but also the overall company.
100%. Like I was saying earlier, they get to teach us in these kind of crossover environments, but we also get to teach them.
Yes.
Right. 100%. There's nothing worse than hearing, well, it's always been done that way.
Oh, yeah.
And that usually comes with a certain kind of, we can paint that picture in our minds. Yep. It's so great that us as a younger generation that is coming up, that we don't mind speaking. We want to learn. We're very curious humans. And to be able to teach them some of that flexibility in leadership, flexibility in running your business, whatever it might be, or flexibility in leading each individual. We have that crossover because of Pulse and because of the chamber. Yeah. And that environment, again, to say what I said earlier, is only going to refine us to betterment and better leaders as time continues to go on, especially here in the Fox Cities.
For sure.
Yeah. So let's kind of go off script again. Tell us about your journey. What is that? How'd you get to where you are now? And what do you think the dots looking back? What does that look like?
I love this question. My journey, when I came to Pulse, I'll give you my most recent viewpoint. When I came to Pulse and was presenting my workshop, I was in a room with 20 different industries. And I come from cosmetology and hospitality and service. My education journey is different than those people in that room. But along the entire journey that up till today, I've always had this in my head. I can do anything. I can do anything I want. Within reason, right? There's morals and values that help to run this. But to get to where I was today, I had to keep that mindset because I had to take every opportunity to keep leveling up. Right. Every job I've ever had, I entered at the bottom and I worked my way to the top. I learned so much through that to understand what leadership really means in different environments, what working with different humans that I probably never would have worked with before looks like in different environments. Absorbing all of that knowledge, I like to call it gather. My mindset is always gather, 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 gather. Being open to opportunities like this to go gather experience and knowledge. Mm-hmm. All of that, every step of my way, led me to open up my business. Before I opened my business, I was a cosmetologist behind the chair, working in a really stellar salon. Guests turning over every single day. I loved it so much. But what I realized within that moment was what I love more is watching my guests leave after our great, rich conversations, offering some advice that I'm like, this just came natural. I'm going to try it. I want to fill the space. I'm with this person for 3+ hours coloring hair. I got to give them something.
Right.
And they come back and they feel better. They feel stronger, more confident. I'm like, is that what I'm supposed to be doing? And when you sit there and really listen to the world around you, the energy around you saying that's the direction, and you take advantage of it, you really land in a spot that fulfills you, and you feel it. And everyone's going to feel it in different ways. But all of a sudden I said, this is my lane. This is what I'm supposed to be doing. So I opened up Live Lively. My entire business is about elevating humans, whether it's personal or professional. And I'm meant to be doing that. I love listening. I love asking questions. I'm a curious, forward human. So I'll uncover a lot of information that maybe people just aren't listening to. And we'll have a really great conversation to find a way. I most recently put one of my job titles. I have Mark H. Pullman, founder/waymaker. Because there is a way for everyone for anything. We can get what we deserve and we desire. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. We just have to find the way. Sometimes it seems obvious, and why couldn't I have done that before? But sometimes it's really digging down in, clearing space for you to see differently. That's a power I have naturally. I went and got great education after I realized this. I took incredible workshops for some people that I just idolize that I think are so incredible in their own industries, from leadership to creative thinking to starting a cause, all of the above. Today, I get to take all that new knowledge and experience and apply it to what I said earlier. I can do anything. And now I'm in a position where I get to affect people's careers in a really, really excellent way by teaching them square one concepts. I am not a big, complicated thinker. That doesn't work for me. I want to start at like the bare minimum, and I want to make it my own. Us as humans, we love that. We love to say, hey, here's the information you need. Now go do something with it. We make it our own, and we're going to commit to it longer. We're really going to shine when we're saying, just give me what I need and I'll go do it. And then we'll keep having conversations over and over again. And that's a great spot as a leader. As you said earlier, we don't have to lead from it has to be done this way. No ifs, ands, or buts, almost regimental. Now it's be flexible, see what happens, thrive in it. Okay, I see your greatness there. I'm going to teach you how to do some more on top of it. Mm-hmm. That kind of leadership has more impact. And now I get to be that person that teaches leaders that. Oh, I'm in a prime position to really enjoy my career for the rest of my life.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's absolutely amazing. And, I think one of the things that is really vital and important is meeting people where they're at. A lot of people decide, okay, well, it's just going to be my way or the highway kind of thing. And it really needs to be, how can I help support you? How can I, if I don't quite understand, help me understand? And I don't know, I just think it's really cool.
It really is. And we need more leadership like that. Mm-hmm. Like, as you said earlier, there's this generation, we maybe just don't speak the same way, or we're less apt to speak out loud, especially if we're not feeling the environment's correct. Mm-hmm. If a leader can say, I see where you are right now, and I need you to be here, but I'm going to take you along that journey, that takes that person who can't say those words out loud and say, like, thank you. Finally, someone's hearing me without hearing me. They're recognizing me. One thing I love to teach leaders is communication. Mm-hmm. In my honest opinion, I think that's what leadership is at the end of the day. We have our own roles and responsibilities for the business, but we also just need to communicate and help guide them in a new direction. We overcomplicate it. Leadership isn't necessarily something you go to college for a 4-year degree, right? We have great options for that to get certificates and beyond, but leadership is a big, vague word. And when we have too much room for that creation of this is what leadership is, this is what leadership is, like I said earlier, I love square one. Let's just distill it down. What do we actually need? Stellar communication. And that means listening and giving back skills, right? When a leader has that in their pocket, they'll lead anybody. It's almost, I'm going to say easy, but I might shoot myself in the foot with that eventually, but it is easy. It just takes that time to recognize. I just have to communicate correctly with them and I can get them where they go. Because that's our responsibility as leaders. Yours in the chamber as well. I need to take these young professionals to a new direction because they're seeking something. Mm-hmm. What a great role. If I know I know what they need and I can communicate effectively, we're going to get there, no offense or buts about it.
Mm-hmm. And to that point, like, I've had some leaders that I've worked for who this is just the only way they've ever done it. And they feel so powerful in that role. And it's all about, like, this is just the way that I'm going to present this, and this is what I need, and this is my expectation, and I don't want to hear where you're at. I don't want to understand where you're at. And really, like you said, just taking it back to that square one standpoint and really just having that good communication, and not even just the communicating, it's the communicating the steps that need to be done to get to that next place, but then walking alongside of them to do that. Because like you said, you feel so seen, and it changes the trajectory of how you as an employee or person see yourself, and how you choose that you want to go forward within the company. And I think that's so vital, is really having that and really understanding that, like you said, leadership is really just about that communication.
I love what you're saying there. I jokingly told a client of mine, I was like, listen, the next time your leader says, we're doing it this way because it has to be done this way, instead of being like, oh my gosh, I'm scared, I want you to do this face. Oh. Like, I'm over that kind of idea, that mentality. It's created great success, but it's not working anymore, right? Mm-hmm. So let's change our tenseness of like, okay, I have to do this, to like, oh, let's disrupt a little bit and say, there's other options now. We continue to evolve. Mm-hmm. I mean, we are looking at AI disrupting us in the most amazing ways right now. If we don't evolve now, we're going to be left behind. Mm-hmm. And if the people that are the ones that came ahead of us, that mature crowd, the ones we can paint in our pictures that say it's always been done this way, unfortunately, those are the ones that are most vulnerable to not changing and being left behind. Mm-hmm. Us young professionals, we have the energy, we have the new mindsets, and we have the capacity to handle this change, and we want to usher it forward.
One of the things that I love that you say, Mark, all the time is that we're going to disrupt things, because I think that people look at that as like, oh my gosh, I could never do that. And I think that I've also been in that position where I'm like, oh my God, no, that's not something that I can do. This is the way that they have established it. I need to fall in line. And I think that is the most detrimental place to be in, when you just like accept that this is all that there is for you. I think it does a great damage to yourself, your self-confidence, your just everything. And so when you look at the word disrupting something, it kind of can come across as like, oh, it's going to be damaging, it's going to be bad. And I don't necessarily think that that's what disrupting is. But if you really take that and peel that back, what does disrupting really mean? It really means coming in and shaking things up, making things not how they used to be, and really just trying to get to something that's better for you, better for the culture, better for the community, better for the business. And you recently said that to me. I don't know if it was when you did your talk or if it was before that, but I was like, that's a really great way of thinking about things, because I don't think people necessarily always look at it like that. And so I just really appreciate that that's kind of like the mindset that you have and that you teach, because I do think it's super important.
Thank you. Yeah, I think disrupting, I like to add positively disrupt something, right? Because of the mindset you were sharing, just like, oh, that's a little crass, that's a little harsh, and it scares us when someone says, I'm going to come disrupt.
Yeah.
Sometimes when you're in a spot, from what I've experienced, when I go to consult on something, Mark, I've tried everything. I'm at my wit's end. I don't know which way is up, down, all around anymore. Well, let's disrupt it, because it's there. One time I went to therapy. I think it's a great outlet if you need it. But what my therapist said to me one time, she said, families tend to say that language. We tried everything. But what if what you tried didn't work then, but maybe today it can? So I love coming in and disrupting and making things a little bit jumbly for a moment to say, what have you done? Let's understand that. Was that best for them? Nope. We can do it today. Let's try it again today. Because when you're in that tough spot of, I just don't know what to do next, you need a positive disruptor. You need to live lively with Mark H. Pullman to come in and just be like, hey, nothing here. We can recover from it. You have an option. There's a way to go through. We just need a little disruption right now. Because when you're stuck in it and all you know is that, you're only just going to sit there and run in place. You're going to tread water for too long until it's a detriment to your business. And all that other stress on top of what you were feeling before makes you feel like you're drowning and you're like, all right, throwing in the towel. I'm out. No. The Pulse is a great option. The Chamber is a great option for outlets for having people disrupt. Live Lively is a great option. All of the above. But disrupting things is my business, and I plan on doing it for a very long time.
I love that. I love it.
Awesome. Well, last kind of question for you. What would be your advice to somebody who's just kind of starting out, whether it's a new leadership position or wanting to start their own business, or made that decision to start their own business? What would be your piece of advice? Either one of you, or both of you.
I'll let you go first.
Oh, it changes. My advice changes, whether it's human to human or just where I'm at in my own career. Currently, today, I would tell a young entrepreneur or someone trying to get into leadership, go gather information before you make that decision. You think you want something. And then most of the times, especially from the industries I come in from, they're just kind of put into it because it's they're like, I need to hire someone and just put a body there. And then I realize that person's not right or I'm not meant for that position. So go gather what it is you think you need to know before you accept that position or grow into it. Also understand leadership comes with its own set of rules that aren't written for you all the way. So you have to do a lot of doing it on your own. So prepare your energy and your mindsets to make sure you can handle all that excess work that's not written on that piece of paper of your job description. Because that's something, a role of responsibility we take on as leaders. All of the other stuff on top of everything else. And if you're not ready for that, take some time. It's okay. Better to take the time, the slow path there, so you're more prepared. So you've gathered everything you needed so you can pivot and work with your team in those tough situations. When I was speaking at the Pulse event, I spoke about the fable, The Tortoise and the Hare. When we jump ahead, we miss and leave so much information on that table. The tortoise took their time and they got there and they won and they did it with ease. And they didn't have to leave anything behind to win. I also like to interpret it as they had time to understand, know it, go through it, experience it, and then they have all that knowledge to then teach other people. And that's what we do as leaders. So take your time, gather what you need to know to make sure you can take it in and take the role of responsibility correctly. And just take your time doing it all because there's no rush at the end of the day. If you're not meant for it, you're not meant for it. And that's okay. You can find another position. That's the beauty of the incredible Fox Cities areas we live in. There's so many outlets for growth. So take your time.
Yeah, to piggyback off of like kind of what you're saying, I really do. I'm very much a believer in like, you should take every opportunity. And I think that like, you shouldn't, like, you don't want to regret it, right? Like, you don't want to regret that, hey, I didn't do this. But I also think that you can take those opportunities and take them slower. You don't have to jump into it the second that it lands on your plate. A good example that I had is back when I also used to work in the beauty industry, and I had a girl come in and she was like, I'm so into this. I want to do this right now. And she was about ready to like jump in head first. And then she kind of just ghosted me, and she ghosted me for months, and she ghosted me for years. And I was like, okay, well, she found something else better. She came back to me and she was like, Michaela, I apologize. Like, I just wasn't ready. I needed to go back and I needed to really figure out like all the steps that I needed to get before I committed to something that I knew was going to change my life. And when I had that experience with her, she ended up coming back and she ended up being one of the best students that I've ever had. She was so dedicated, so motivated. She had a mentor. She had someone that she utilized for the days that it got hard and the moments that was really great.
Brilliant.
Because you are going to have those, right? You're going to have those days that completely suck the life out of you. And you're like, is this even what I'm supposed to be doing? And you need to have someone that can be there to really like help support. But you're also going to have those moments where, oh my gosh, so this is the best thing that I've ever done. This is so great. And having that person or someone else is also amazing to have. But just to kind of like, you know, to your point, it is so important that we don't just jump into things, but you can take those small steps forward to help get you where you want to be, knowing that that is the ultimate goal. Because I still think that you're making those changes. It just doesn't have to be all at once. So.
Here's my positive disruption to that thought even. Sometimes it's okay to just jump in and see what happens.
Oh,
because
for
if
sure.
you're like, I'm not super dedicated to this, it's business at the end of the day.
Mm-hmm.
You're trying to gain and you're trying to grow. Go take advantage of it, screw it up, stumble, fumble on their dime, and then take all that great knowledge and apply it to a place that you're like, actually, I'll thrive here.
Mm-hmm.
So I encourage it in some ways, but I'm also like, if you really want to stay there and you're like, this is where I want to be, take your time.
Mm-hmm.
Make sure you're ready for it. It's excellent.
Yep.
Thanks everybody for watching today's show. If you can hit that subscribe button down below, as well as if you're watching on Spotify, make sure to hit that little add button so you have your podcasts come out every time we release one. So thanks guys. We'll see you next time.